Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Vortex, where lies and falsehoods are trapped and exposed. I'm Michael Voris. One ingredient related to the church's leadership, especially in America, that is common to the collapse of both the church as well as the nation, is the current of Marxism so prevalent within the U.S. hierarchy. When Stalin came to power in 1922, he took direct aim at the Catholic Church and set about an immediate campaign to destabilize her. While it all does seem to smack of conspiracy theory type stuff, remember, many of the so-called conspiracy theories over the past few years have proven to be much more than just a theory. The same is true here, but since so much of this is inside Catholic baseball, it's gone largely unnoticed by the most conservative secular media. While it's true that some of this has played out as what appears to be strictly Catholic Civil War type stuff, there is another dynamic, much less obvious, which is no less present than the theological battles. The culture wars in the U.S., it could be argued, really began first inside the Catholic Church, as Marxist notions and applications of socialism began to take root alongside theological errors. One need look no further than the evil of liberation theology in South America, imported from the Kremlin. It was a KGB plan to shake the dominant Catholic influence throughout the entire continent. The same sort of thing happened in the U.S. as a direct result of Marxist philosophy being embraced by key players throughout the U.S. church from the 1930s to the 1950s. That generation set the stage for what would become in the Catholic Church in America a broad-based movement and coalition of like-minded fellow travelers intent on not just destabilizing the church, but also the nation. It was the incubator in which the likes of Joe Biden, John Kerry, Nancy Pelosi, Ted Kennedy, Patrick Leahy, Dick Durbin, and all the rest of them would be produced. Likewise, the nation's Catholic universities, like their secular counterparts, were also invaded and taken over by Marxist ideology. This Marxist takeover happened in many smaller, almost unknown or little-remembered skirmishes. Barack Obama, for example, long before he became the community organizer-in-chief, learned those skills in the same incubator as his future Capitol Hill Catholic allies were nurtured in. Saul Alinsky partnered up with the Catholic Church in Chicago in the 1930s and the 1940s and began the entire campaign of so-called community organizing. It was under the auspices of Catholic training in social justice seminars, love that name, social justice. Those were begun by Alinsky that Barack Obama got his training in, even having the Chicago Archdiocese pay for the whole thing and foot the bill. The entire Marxist invasion of the U.S. church was done under the phony guise of social justice, and from its inception in 1969, fit neatly in line with the agenda of the, drumroll please, Democratic Party, which made the same appeal politically about justice that corrupt leaders were making theologically. Couple these new efforts by U.S. bishops with the historic alliance between Catholic immigrants and Democrats, and a powerful machine was created to change the course of a nation, with church leaders baptizing the Democratic agenda and Democratic leaders, many of whom were Catholics, brandishing the blessing of the church to advance their plans. It was a tapestry, and still is, of historic cooperation between church and state in a nation which seems to never tire of pointing at the infamous wall separating church and state. But in this case, it was only part of the state, the party of the Democrats, whose agenda has been almost entirely embraced by the U.S. hierarchy. It was only the Roe v. Wade decision of 1973 that threw a monkey wrench into the works. And of course, the Marxist bishops denounced abortion here and there to appease conservative Catholics, but they never did anything substantially to actually fight it. Not only did they refuse to follow the Church's Canon Law 915 and deny Holy Communion to pro-abort Catholic politicians, but they have also, to this day, never once in hundreds and hundreds of national collections ever taken up a single pro-life collection. The U.S. church establishment is in a neck-and-neck race, it would seem, with the Republican Party establishment to see who can talk the biggest game about abortion, but never actually do anything about it. And moreover, for another example, it was the Bishops' National Conference which came out publicly swinging for the fences in favor of Obamacare. It was Catholic Senator Susan Collins, another product of that same incubator, which voted the legislation out of the Senate committee and got it to the Senate floor for its final vote, where it, of course, passed. It was her single vote which ensured Obamacare became law. Obamacare should really be called Bishop Care. Obama proposed it, true, but the bishops, alongside their theologically corrupt politician sheep, are the ones who brought it to birth. The America we are witnessing before us today has the fingerprints of these generations of bishops and corrupt clergy all over it. It is the biggest story not told in modern American history. God love you. I'm Michael Voris.